Thanksgiving and Christmas headlined the holiday season in the United States, but there's one holiday that trumps them all. On the first Sunday in November, Americans get to turn their clocks back an hour, effectively gaining more time that day. The fall edition of Daylight Saving Time, or DST for short, is the greatest American holiday and was introduced by a great American, Benjamin Franklin. In order to understand this glorious time warp, we need to understand the early American origins of DST, exactly how widespread it really is, and also the motivation for changing the clocks in the first place. Benjamin Franklin first had the idea that led to Daylight Saving Time when he published a satirical essay in 1784, describing how money could be saved on candles if people rose after sunrise and went to sleep earlier at night. In 1918, for World War I and later on for World War II, DST was officially implemented in the United States. However, after the Second World War, every town was given the opportunity to decide if they wanted to permanently instill DST. This naturally led to chaos, exemplified by the fact that offices in St. Paul, Minnesota had city folk observing DST and country folk who did not. Thankfully, the Uniform Time Act of 1966 established DST throughout the U.S. to lessen confusion. DST is not very widespread, but the U.S. is not alone in our celebration of the holiday. Only 40% of the world's countries observe it, which equates to about 25% of the global population. It makes more sense for countries that have varying daylight hours depending on the season. In the Northern Hemisphere, we follow the spring forward, fall back mantra, but in the Southern Hemisphere, they do the opposite. But why should we distort time in this manner? Germany was the first country to officially implement DST in 1916 to conserve fuel during World War I. Many nations hope to save on energy and electricity costs by increasing the waking daylight hours. Furthermore, we get an extra hour of daylight every spring and an extra hour of sleep every autumn. After understanding the history, participation, and reasoning behind the celebration of this grand holiday, it's easy to see why we collectively hop into our time machines every March and November.